And part 6 is going to be an extension of our most popular mini-seminar segment, which is why hearing aids don't work. And I'm going to tell you that the reason is twofold. One, the first possibility is choice of the wrong hearing aid. The second possibility is the choice of the wrong provider. Let's go into hearing aids first, and the choice of hearing aids. The two things that keep people from getting hearing aids are price and appearance. And I would say that the newer hearing aids really solve the appearance problem. They're virtually invisible. Prices start anywhere from $900 up to $2,200, $2,500. $900, and there's 3 levels of hearing aids. This is important. There is a entry-level hearing aid, a mid-level hearing aid, and a premium level hearing aid. So what does an entry-level hearing aid look like? Well, this is one, and it's a small shell, virtually invisible behind the ear, connected by a wire, a thin plastic wire, and it goes to a receiver in the ear. And this is virtually invisible. This is a premium. This is a entry-level aid. Goes for about $900 or $1,000. Now, what if you need a more powerful hearing aid? Well, that is done by doing a lifestyle assessment. What we find out is when we see people here at Enhanced Auditory Resources, we do an audiogram or a hearing evaluation, but we also do a lifestyle assessment to see exactly what their needs are. If you're saying that I have difficulty hearing in crowded restaurants or family events, a entry-level aid will not do it. You're going to need a little more sophisticated hearing aid with directional microphones, filtering functions, and that will work far better in a crowded, noisy environment. Well, what does a mid-level aid look like? Well, you guessed it. It's exactly the same. It's the exactly same shell and casing, the same plastic wire, and the same receiver that fits in the ear. So people come in, and when they say, well, I want to hear an aid just like my friend had, how much is it? And they're shown this, that may be the wrong hearing aid for them. What does a premium level hearing aid look like? You guessed it, again, the identical appearance. So I'm going to say that if you look at the wrong hearing aid, you have to look at your lifestyle assessment, and we do a thorough assessment here, seeing what the person's needs are. There is no sense in fitting him with an entry-level aid where his needs are premium or mid-level. He'll return it or say it doesn't work, and it's going to sit in the bedside drawer. The second question comes up is the choice of provider. Consumer Reports did an excellent article last summer, in I think it was July of 2009, on hearing aids, how to buy a hearing aid and the different choices. I would recommend that strongly to anyone interested in purchasing a hearing aid before they purchase it. Their #1 recommendation as far as provider is that if you are a veteran, that you go to the VA. VA has excellent hearing aids, the same ones we have, and if you are a veteran, you can get your hearing aids through the VA. For those who are not veterans, what they said was they would recommend going to a provider who stocks not just one brand of hearing aids, but several brands. One size does not fit all. We here at Enhanced Auditory Resources, we stock 5 different brands of hearing aids, just so we can find the right hearing aid for each individual. #3, if you were not a veteran, Consumer Reports suggested that you go to an otolaryngologist, an ear, nose, and throat doctor. I like that recommendation because I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor, who has an audiologist, and again I like that because Dr. Bozeman is a PhD audiologist, dispensing his hearing aids. Why is that? Because Consumer Report did their normal, excellent Consumer Report testing. What they did is they had people go out in the New York City area and buy hearing aids. And the people then came back, and an independent audiologist then determined the fitting of those individual hearing aids. Now these were high-level aids, various levels from entry-level to premium, so they weren't looking at price or performance of the aid. They were solely looking at the programming of the hearing aid. And what did they find? Over 2/3 high number. Over 2/3 of the hearing aids were improperly programmed. That meant that you could have a premium level aid that you pay $2,500 for, but if it is improperly programmed, either providing too much or too little amplification, it's not going to help you. So that's the second reason why hearing aids don't work. Either the choice of provider, and you've got to find someone. These are technical instruments that are not easy to program. One of the most important visits we have back is the second visit. We see everybody back at 2 weeks. And at that point, we see how they're doing, and we actually reprogram the instrument so it is a finer fit for their needs, because they can tell us. I went into a restaurant, one fellow came in and said, when my partner shuffles his papers, it drives me crazy. We just deprogrammed that very narrow frequency. The best story I have is an individual came in, he's a conductor of an orchestra, and he said, I'm not interested in hearing speech, but I can't hear the instruments, the high-pitched instruments, when I'm in the pit. So could you program the hearing aid? And he brought a DVD of himself. Well, that's good, because we have a demo room, a demonstration room that has surround sound and a big screen TV. So we put the DVD in, and we adjusted the surround sound so that he was just in the pit, exactly like he normally hears it. We then adjusted the hearing aids so that he could hear the instruments. At one point he just lit up, and he said, that's how it sounded when I was a young man. Got up. Dr. Bozeman said, well, we're going to program it for speech. He said, don't touch a thing. This is exactly what I want. Walked out, paid for the hearing aids. We never saw him back again. We called him for a follow-up visit to readjust, and he said, no, they're working fine. I'm delighted with them. Well, that's a level of skill and expertise that I think the average storefront or big box store is not going to be able to provide. Make sure your provider is able to do that. The only other thing that I would add, and Consumer Reports noted this, was what happens when you come back and the hearing aid is not working. Not all hearing aid facilities are able to do real ear measurements. You can check on the computer and see what the output of the hearing aid is, but you can't tell the amplification at the eardrum. To do that, you need to do real ear measurements. What is a real ear measurement? This is a simple, very expensive computer where you hang this just off on the ear, and this little fine plastic tube, you don't feel it, goes all the way into the eardrum. Painless. But you then put the hearing aid into the ear as you normally would. This is measuring the sound output at the eardrum. What is surprising is a significant number of people who come in with hearing aids fit elsewhere and say this hearing aid just doesn't work. I think these are also our most satisfied patients. What Dr. Bozeman does is he does a real ear measurement. And he says, well, I know it says that it's putting that out, but it's not putting out what you need. He simply adjusts the patient's hearing aids. Frequently, these hearing aids are only a year or two old, just not working. So real ear measurement, this little tiny catheter, tells us an enormous amount of information. So just reviewing, the provider is a key choice. Make sure they stock several brands of hearing aid, they do real ear measurements or have the potential to do that, and that you have a skilled fitter who is going to do that. This is a terribly important question. Second thing is make sure you know your lifestyle assessment and that you communicate it. You just don't go and say, I want the least expensive hearing aid. Not if it's going to sit in your bedside drawer. So what you want to do is you want to tell them, this is where I'm having the difficulty. So, thank you for listening. Should you want a copy of the Consumer Reports Guide, go to our website, earresources.com, and we have a link to the Consumer Report. And you can download that from Consumer Reports. There's a small fee for it. I think it's $10 or $15. Worth it if you're buying an expensive instrument. Should you want to get a copy of it, just call Jen, our patient care coordinator, at 617-969-4327, and she'll send you out a copy. So, thanks for listening, and looking forward to seeing you for our final segment of the mini-seminar, and this is how to buy a hearing aid. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again. Bye-bye.